So what do you recommend in terms of mentorship and partnerships and everything out there? Like, do you think that as you're coming up through your career, do you find that that's very valuable for anyone that is on their path to find a mentor or someone that they trust to guide them? What are your thoughts on that?
So I have had mentors and I have been a mentor. And I became a mentor by accident. This is kind of a funny story. At least it's funny to me. I don't know if it's funny to anybody else. I started helping someone recently, and trying to give her some ideas and some career advice and some growth things, and push her to do a couple of things that were out of her comfort zone and would help her position herself for success. And during this brief period of mentor-mentee mentorship thing, Laura honestly didn't even know I was mentoring her. I thought I was just being friendly and giving some advice.
Right.
And then she got promoted twice, and she herself became she became chief operations manager of her company in no time. And of course, this person also suffers from the same thing that all of us suffer from, right? Which is, can I really do this? And are they going to figure out that I'm a complete fraud? And is everybody going to figure out that I really don't deserve to be here? And all of that, all of those imposter syndrome things that, I live with all that stuff every day. I can't even believe I'm on camera with you right now. So you laugh, but it's true. So,
and I understand that. I completely understand that. And I think you are correct. Everyone has suffered from that at some point in time. Some suffer from it all the time, and some people it's sporadic. So yes, keep going.
Well, and one day she told me that she told me a story that she told somebody else that I was her mentor. And I was like, wait, I'm your what? What? Let's back up. I don't remember putting an application in for that job. So anyway, it's important to find people that you can learn and grow from. I think that it's important to find people that will identify your blind spots and maybe tell you some of the things that you don't know, right? We've all got this theory that we know everything, or that we know of everything there is to know. And many of us are blind to the fact that there's entire realms of knowledge that exist beyond our reach, and that we don't even know that knowledge is out there. And so I've tried in my career, I've tried to find people that could give me a brief glimpse into some of those realms of knowledge that I didn't even know existed. And so now what I've tried to do is, now that I've learned a few of the things, and look, I'm not preaching to you that I'm, the Wizard of Oz. I'm just saying I've figured out a couple of things. So the couple of things that I've figured out, I'm trying to share with other people, and help them fast forward through this silly process called life. And if you can find someone or some group of people, and it doesn't have to be one person, it doesn't have to be formal. I don't have a formal relationship. We're kind of just friends. But trust people to give you some advice once in a while, and know that everything you think you know isn't always right. And some things that you aren't even aware of, they exist. And there's huge diversities of perspective on a whole world of stuff, even though each of us lives in our own little world and we think we know everything and we think we're always right.
You are correct. We live in our own perspective, right? We view the world through our lens of whatever that lens looks like based on the past, right? Based on how we've seen it, based on how our careers have gone through in our personal lives. So we can only see it through our lens. So when you put yourself in other groups and other tribes or one-on-one relationships, all of a sudden you start to see it through another lens. And that in itself expands how we see the world and can certainly allow us to grow. Now, the biggest thing, and I agree with you, Taylor, and it's funny, the first time someone reached out to me and said, will you mentor me? I was like, what does that mean? I'm like, am I adopting you? Like, am I taking on a child? Like, what does that mean to be a mentor, right? And I remember the first thing I thought of is, they think I'm important enough to mentor you, right? Like, that's the first thing. Again, am I worthy to be someone that can give advice to someone else? So of course that's your first thought, right? And then all of a sudden I was like, kudos to that person to have the nerve to reach out to someone that they don't have a relationship with me. So I started looking at it as, how important was it for that person to get advice to continue on their path? So I highly encourage that we should probably all have mentors and mentees. I think it's valuable to us to grow as individuals to have both. I think it's we learn something every single time we're part of that. So I love that story that you have this person that you're kind of just being there to listen and to give your advice. And now look at this person is already excelling, and that certainly is glorious.
Well, here's Laura, and here's the paradox. The paradox is, this is another thing that I learned from my first mentor, maybe not my first, my primary, my overriding mentor. The paradox is that I learn from the people that I mentor as much, I think, as they learn from me.
I agree.
And I think that I actually get more value out of it, to be very, very candid and very honest. Yep. And that was something that the woman that I mentioned earlier used to say all the time. She'd say, I learn more from you guys than you learn from me.
Yeah.
You guys know far more than I do. And I learn from you every day. And I think the same holds true. I think that if you don't take the time to invest of yourself in others, you're really robbing yourself of an opportunity to learn from what those others will give back to you, or not even give back to you, to learn from the process of giving to others, to learn from being a giver. And when I say that, I mean information and knowledge and leadership and direction and perspective. It's totally selfish.
And it's interesting, Taylor. I mean, speaking for myself, coming up through the mortgage industry in the last 20 odd years, it seemed like years ago, people were almost afraid to share because it was like, I've got the secret and I'm not sharing the secret. But that's all changed. It's gone out the window where now there's much more collaboration and much more, guys, this is an abundant industry and there's so many families that we can help. And there's more than enough business for all of us to be the best we can be for the organizations in which we are serving, right? So it's wonderful that at this point in our careers, we're able to open up, be able to share some of our insights and not feel a sense of, no, I'm going to lose if I share. No, you're going to win when you share, because we all grow together. And that's a lot of, as we are working hard at the MBA New Jersey board, we are planning so many fabulous things that are coming up, this year. And a lot of it goes along with what Taylor and I are speaking about, right? We're speaking about so much providing value, bringing everyone together, right? Whether it's in an executive level or an origination level or an operations level. And there's so many great things that we are putting together and we're excited about it. I mean, we're a brand new board of 2021 and we have so many amazing ideas and concepts and renewal. And as we are now, planning our big live event that will take place in October of 2021, there's so many great things that we are going to continue to share with everyone. All right, so Taylor, final question. All right, you've been doing this a while. Another thing I see in our industry is sometimes people lose that, fire in the belly, so to speak, right? Where after so many years of being in the industry. What keeps, and I know bringing home families is certainly number one, but what else do you do to keep inspired, motivated, looking fresh at every new day and opportunity within our industry?
A good shower is a good start.
Okay.
And that's probably not the answer you're looking for.
I don't know. Nowadays, with everybody working from home, that could be a valuable answer.
Yeah. I think for me, it changes on a constant basis. I mean, one day it's helping somebody get a loan done. The next day it's helping an organization thrive. The next day, it's trying to figure out how to push a social agenda, a political agenda. I'm involved with a lot of different things.
Maybe
It's not
that's
just
the answer,
origination.
is that you are involved in so many different things, and that you continue to advocate and positively affect in many different areas. So that probably is the answer.
I think for me it is. I don't know that that's the answer for everybody. And I don't want to try to pretend like I have the answer for everybody. I only have the answer for me. And Laura, half the time I don't even have that answer. So look, I think that like one of the things I try to do is I do a lot of what I refer to loosely as mortgage extracurricular activities.
Okay.
And I didn't used to. In fact, I didn't up until fairly recently get involved with anything outside of my actual own job. And then I started getting involved with advisory councils, and I was invited to do some things. I started attending events, and I started finding that the people that were involved in some of these things weren't so big and scary as I had previously thought that they were. That I started to notice that they were more like me than I thought. And I started becoming more comfortable engaging and becoming a part of things, to the point that now I spend a significant amount of my time on social issues, on political issues, on regulatory issues, on things like this, what we're doing right now. A lot of it for me is trying to find ways that I can add value back to everything that is beyond just what I take from this business. And I think that goes back into the concept of, helping mentor up people. I think that goes back into opening and creating opportunities for people. One of the things that I've strived to do in my career has been to grow healthy business. And part of the reason is so that I could provide employment. I like being able to be a source of income and a job for somebody that otherwise doesn't have one, and that makes me feel good. I think that, and you didn't ask me a question that I was hoping that you would ask me, which is if I so you see how I do this? I turn around.
Go for it, Taylor. I want to hear.
And the question is, what advice do you have?
Yes. What advice do you have?
So this is going to sound a little coy and corny and trite, but my advice is be women leaders. And I'm not saying that because we're having this conversation relative to the Women's Committee for this interview, but what I mean is, first of all, and this goes back to what you and I started off talking about the balance of gender in leadership. I benefited immensely by having female leadership ahead of me. And I continue to benefit from that today, right now, in this world. And I benefited immensely by having female leadership around me, both as mentors and as friends and colleagues. So what I mean when I say that is twofold. One, I think that there is this perception that some women need to be more like men in order to be successful.
Very valid point, Taylor.
In a highly male world of the mortgage space. I mean, it is what it is. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. And so I think there's this perspective that, you need to act male to be male. Now, here's what I'm going to tell you. It doesn't make the rest of us better. It actually makes the rest of us worse. And I said this before, I'll speak for me. I'm not going to try to speak for everybody. I am a more balanced human being when there is balance around me. Not when there's some people trying too hard to be something that they're not. And so I would, and the greatest strength and value that I think that I did take out of my mentor was a very strong female perspective to help me be a better balanced leader in the first place. Had she tried to be more like a tough guy, or what she thought the tough image of the Melanie Griffith, with the shoulder pads in the 90s, I don't think I would have gotten the value out of it the way that I did. I think that I would have missed out, to be honest with you. And the second half of that statement is really to my contemporaries, which is that men need to also lead women. And that means that we need to bring them up through the organization, that we need to give them, let me start to go over. So I think the second half of that is that that men and my contemporaries and we need to do a better job of leading women. And that is to say that we need to recognize that organizations are fundamentally healthier when there is balance in the organization. And you can't just create it. You have to actually put some work into it. You have to train and lead and guide and mentor people yourself. And those people need to be men and women. And I think that we're robbing ourselves of an opportunity when women don't have an opportunity to be mentored by those who have been there before them. And maybe those who have been there before them look like me.
Of course.
And maybe they don't. And maybe they don't.
I mean, Taylor, you mentioned a few really important points. One, you mentioned about women shouldn't try to act like men. That is speaking, as a woman that came up through the executive ladder, it was very, very difficult that I toned myself down. Believe me, I had closets full of those horrible suits. I wore business suits every day. You would never see me in a dress or a skirt because I was trying to look like my male counterparts, because that's what was socially acceptable at that time, right? And it's actually funny. I can literally remember 2010. I got rid of the business suit. It was revolutionary. So that is a very good point, because to this day, a lot of times young women think they have to change and be different to fit in. And I really value that you recognize that. The second thing about men mentoring women, I personally believe that no one intentionally is not giving an opportunity or not looking to help any of our team members, right? We all have the best intention, all of us, right?
Sure.
But the problem is sometimes there's people that are afraid to speak up, or they're not comfortable coming out into the, in the forefront, or they feel uncomfortable raising their hand, right? Some people, they're afraid of raising their hand, regardless of gender, right? But we as leaders, we have to recognize that there are team members that are in that situation that could be the absolute rock stars of our companies, but yet it's kind of a little harder. We have to do some more work to mentor them and to pull them forward and put them in situations to where they do shine and feel comfortable. And that story that you shared about your mentor switching the offices, oh my goodness, I could imagine the panic that set in when they're like, yeah, you're going over there and you're going over there. And now you have to work with different people and you have to spend the day doing different events. I can imagine the panic that set in. But that is an amazing leader to provide that opportunity to go through that learning experience. And it made you better. It made the other person better. And we all grew. So you're right. All of this is a great opportunity for us as leaders to be aware of this and to do something about it, to continually progress forward into pulling people forward and giving them those mentoring opportunities to all. I love it. I love it. It's great. All right, Taylor, this has been amazing. Oh my goodness, so many great things. We could have went on for days and days, but thank you so much. And again, for everyone out there, stay tuned for what is happening at the MBA New Jersey, because there is lots of exciting things coming your way, and we look forward to continuing to bring them to you. Thank you so much, Taylor.
Thank you, Laura. I appreciate it.